What makes a PlayStation 4 ultimate? How about replacing that old spinning hard drive with a high-speed contemporary solid-state drive, jailbreaking your console with nothing more than a website, playing PS4 backups, PS2 backups, accessing hundreds of apps and games through the Homebrew Store, and loading tens of thousands of retro games? Grab your PlayStation 4 and your PC. We're about to turn your system from ordinary to ultimate. Everything you need to get this done, step by step, is included in this video, and we're starting now. Be sure to check the video description for important show notes and updates. You'll also find links and products featured in the video there. Let's put in a solid-state drive into this PlayStation 4 Pro. I'm using an iFixit Pro Tech toolkit to take care of this task. I honestly don't even know how I got by with all of the work I've done to this point without one. They are really put together that well. To access the mechanical hard drive on this PlayStation 4 Pro model, you just need to remove the access door at the back right corner of the console. Reach your finger around and you should be able to lift the door out, swivel over to the right, and slide it straight out from the back. You'll need to flip the PlayStation 4 over on its top side to expose its underside to access the hard drive screw. Sometimes this is also called the blue screw, as they usually have a blue coating of color on the top of the screw head. You can use a small Phillips head screwdriver to take out this screw. That same screwdriver can also be used in just a moment to take out the screws from the hard drive to its caddy. Once that screw is removed, you can just reach in, grab any portion of the metal caddy that's exposed, and just pull straight back and out to remove the hard drive out of the PlayStation 4. Take note of the orientation of the drive as it sits inside the caddy. You can use that same Phillips head screwdriver to take out the 4 mounting screws that hold the hard drive to the caddy. Take note that each of those 4 screws on the outside of the hard drive caddy actually have rubber washers underneath them. Make sure you save those because they help tighten the screws properly and mount them at the correct depth to hold the hard drive and the new solid-state drive in place. Then just take the old hard drive out of the caddy and set it off to the side. Because it's time for this PS4 Pro to get a special upgrade, I'm going to put in the Samsung 870 EVO solid-state drive. And if you need one of these for your ultimate PS4, I've got it linked for you in the description below. To install the solid-state drive into the caddy, just make sure the orientation matches the way that you took out the original spinning hard drive. Then put each of those 4 retaining screws back on the outside of the caddy, making sure that you still have the 4 rubber washers in place underneath them. Insert the SSD and drive caddy back into the PlayStation 4, making note of the orientation of the pins on the SSD to make sure it connects properly into the SATA port. Reattach the blue screw to secure the caddy back down to the PlayStation 4. Then replace the cover plate by putting the first tab in at the right corner, then rotating it into place and pushing straight forward to snap it down. The new SSD is installed, but it's not ready to use yet because it needs official firmware installed on it. Let's fix that. One of the best trustworthy websites for back catalogs of PlayStation official firmware is darksoftware.xyz. I have it linked for you in the description below. There are 3 columns of official firmware, and the one you want is on the right. It's for initialization. It's when you replace a hard drive with another hard drive or solid-state drive on your PS4. The PS4 Pro I'm using in this video is on official firmware 7.50, so I'm actually going to upgrade it to 7.55. But don't go any further in your updates than 7.55 or you will not be able to jailbreak your PlayStation 4 moving forward. And sadly, PlayStation 4s will not let you downgrade their official firmware to an older version. In the Downloads folder on your PC, make sure that the name of the file you've downloaded is changed to PS4 Update.pup. There shouldn't be any version numbers or anything else, just PS4 UPDATE.pup. Insert a USB drive formatted in exFAT format into your computer. You'll need to create a new folder on the root of your USB drive. Right-click, select New, and then Folder. Name this folder PS4, all capital letters. Once you have this folder created, double-click on the folder to navigate inside. You'll need to create another folder inside this folder. Right-click, select New, select Folder, and name this folder UPDATE in all caps. Once you have this folder created, double-click to go inside. This folder is where the official firmware will need to live on your USB drive. Grab the official firmware from your Downloads folder and drop it directly into the folder you created on your USB drive. Close any Open File Explorer windows, remove the USB drive from your computer, and put it into the rightmost USB port on your PlayStation 4. When you power up your PlayStation 4 with an empty hard drive, you'll be put into safe mode. From here, you need to connect a controller over USB and press the PlayStation button. You'll be prompted to connect a USB drive into the rightmost USB port that contains the official firmware file. You've already done that, select OK by sliding over to the right with the D-pad and pressing X. The system will search for the official firmware in the folder path you created on the USB drive. You'll get a notice that your system is going to be updated. Use the D-pad to move the highlight over to Yes, select it with the X button, and the official firmware will be installed over to your solid-state drive. And when your system restarts, you'll be back at the PlayStation 4 menu, connect your controller with USB and follow the setup procedures, and you'll be ready to use your solid-state drive for some high-speed data transfer. Alright, let's get your PlayStation 4 set up for the jailbreak process. The first order of business is to disconnect your PlayStation 4 from the internet. I've unplugged the LAN cable here, but either disconnect by unplugging your LAN cable or disconnecting your Wi-Fi on the PlayStation 4. No need having an official firmware version installed that you don't want. Now use the D-pad to navigate up to the top navigation ribbon and select Settings with the X button. In the Settings main menu, use the D-pad to scroll down through the list of choices until you get to the one labeled System. Select System with the X button, and the first thing you'll see in the System menu will be System Information. Select System Information with the X button. Here you'll find the official software version that your PlayStation 4 is currently on, and in this case, this PlayStation 4 is on version 7.02. I'll show you how to upgrade to 7.55 the right way. You can leave your PS4 powered on right here and head to your PC. The PS4 official firmwares list has all of the original PlayStation 4 firmwares available for download. You will need to set up an account on the site and log in order to access the downloads. Since we're doing an upgrade here rather than a complete install on a new hard drive, you'll want to access the ones that are on the list to the far left. Go down to the one that says 7.55 and click on Download. This downloads the update file that you'll need to update your PS4 to 7.55. Insert a USB drive formatted in exFAT format into your computer. In the Downloads folder, you'll find a file for PS4 Update 755.pup. You'll need to rename this file. All you have to do is just remove the version number from the file name. So instead of what you see here, just change it to say PS4 Update.pup. With the file renamed, right-click on it and select Copy. Now navigate to the USB drive that you have plugged into your computer, the one that's in exFAT format. In this example it's drive F, but it may be different on your computer. Right-click on the root of the USB drive, go to New and Folder. Name this folder PS4. Then double-click into the PS4 folder, right-click, New, Folder, and name this folder Update, UPDATE. Now double-click on the Update folder, right-click, and paste the ps_update.pup file right here. That's where the PlayStation 4 needs to locate the official firmware in order to do the update. Alright, you're done with your PC at this point. You can close out File Explorer. Then you can safely eject the USB drive from your computer and plug it into your PS4, which should still be on the system information screen. Back on your PlayStation 4, press the circle button to go back in the menus. Use the D-pad to go down one listing in the menu to get to Automatic Downloads and select it with the X button. We don't want the console doing any automatic updates. You're going to be in the driver's seat for this one. Make sure everything in Automatic Downloads is unchecked. You don't want your console to attempt to do any automatic downloads of official firmware or anything else. You're going to do that over the USB in just a moment. Press the circle button to go back one level in the menus. From here, press the circle button again to go back one more level in the menus. You'll be back at the main Settings menu. Use the D-pad to scroll up through the menu choices until you see one that says System Software Update. Then select it with the X button to continue. You'll get a confirmation message that it wants to install version 7.55 of the official firmware. Select Next with the X button to continue. You'll get a notification that your console will restart and install the update. Select Update to continue. Just be aware that you cannot downgrade your system once you do a system firmware update. Your system will automatically restart and complete the upgrade. Back at the PlayStation 4 main menu, let's just make sure the system update went to plan. Use the D-pad to scroll up to the navigation ribbon at the top, scroll over to Settings, and select Settings with the X button. At the Settings main menu, use the D-pad to navigate down toward the bottom to System again. Then select System with the X button to continue. And inside System, the first listing is System Information, selected with the X button. And here you can see the upgrade to 7.55 was successful. Press the circle button to go back to the Settings main menu. Use the D-pad to scroll up one level to Power Save Settings and select it with X. From here, use the D-pad to scroll down to Select Features Available in Rest Mode and select it with X. Make sure that Supply Power to USB ports is set to Always. Press the X button, it pulls up a side menu. Then select Always from the list of choices. This makes sure that your controllers are charging and that you can access USB storage if your system goes into rest mode. Everything else here should be turned off. Just make sure that each of these other choices is unchecked. Once you've confirmed that all of these settings are correct, press the circle button on the controller to go back one level in the menu. Then press the circle button again to go back to the Settings main menu. From here, press the circle button to go back to the PlayStation 4 main menu, and don't forget to either plug in your LAN cable or activate your wireless internet in your PlayStation 4 in your network settings. In the PlayStation 4 menu, navigate to the web browser with a www on it and select it with the X button to launch the web browser. You'll want to do some cleanup and maintenance work before you attempt to jailbreak your PlayStation 4. There are 4 key tasks to complete here. Let's go over them one at a time. Press the Options button on the controller and you'll load up a side menu of choices. The first thing to do is scroll down with the D-pad to Delete All. Select Delete All with the X button to continue. What you're doing is you're actually just deleting frequently visited websites, which is not necessary. Select it with the X button to delete the frequently visited websites. Now press the Options button again to load up that side menu. Scroll up with the D-pad to Browsing History and select Browsing History with the X button. From here, press the Options button on the controller to pull up a side menu again. The only choice is going to be to clear your browsing history. Select that with the X button and select X for OK to continue. Once this is done, press the circle button to go back. Again, press the Options button on the controller to load the side menu. From here, scroll up until you get to Settings and select Settings with the X button. Let's go over a few things here that are critical to your success. First of all, you don't need cookies, so you can uncheck this if you have it checked already. You do want to enable JavaScript though. Use the D-pad to scroll down and make sure that JavaScript is checked. From here, scroll down to Delete Cookies because you don't need them anyway. Select it with the X button, and you'll be presented with the option to clear out the cookies. Select OK to delete any cookies saved on the machine. Now use the D-pad to scroll down to Clear Website Data. Select this with the X button, and when prompted, select OK with the X button to confirm. The point of all of this is to clear out any excess junk out of your browser to give the jailbreak process the best chance for success. Now press circle to go back to the main section of your web browser. Use the D-pad to scroll up until you get to the web address section and press X. Alright, stop the music here for a moment. I've tested several different websites hosting exploits, and I found that this one actually has had the best success with the PlayStation 4 Pro that I'm featuring in this video. I've got the site linked for you in the description below. I also want to mention that PS4 jailbreaking is based around web exploits. It's an exact science, but it's also an imperfect one, so you can expect some challenges along the way. I also want to mention there are 2 different ways on this website that you can initiate homebrew content on your PlayStation 4. The first one is Mira, which is very well known. The other is GoldHen. Both of these are homebrew enablers, and both of them will empower your PlayStation 4 to install package files and run homebrew content. For this example, I'm going to use GoldHen. I had better success running GoldHen on this particular PlayStation 4 Pro. Use the left thumbstick on the controller to move the arrow to the exploit of your choice and select it with the X button to launch it. I'm going to leave this running in real time for just a moment because I want to show you that this is in fact an imperfect process. What happens is a lot of times when you run an exploit, you're going to get these messages that say out of memory error. Just keep pressing the X button through the out of memory error messages. I'm continuing to show this in real time because I don't want you to get discouraged if you see several of these out-of-memory error messages and think that this process has failed you. You just have to stick to the process and you'll find that eventually it will in fact run the exploit. In this case, it actually had 3 different out-of-memory error messages before it finally started initializing the exploit, as you can see right here. This initialization process can take around 20 or 30 seconds to load up into your system and begin the exploit process. Once it's done, you'll get a confirmation message that you're all set. But don't stop here, because there are 2 important processes you need to take care of. One is to make sure that no future updates are installed that stop your system from being jailbroken, and the other is to stop your browser from constantly trying to go back to its history, which means as soon as you click OK, or anytime you reopen the web browser, it's going to try to go right back and run the exploit all over again, even if it's already running. First things first though, let's just make sure that the exploit took place on your PS4. Press circle to go back to the cross-media bar main menu. Use the D-pad to move up, and then scroll over to the right until you get to Settings, and select Settings with the X button. Inside Settings, use the D-pad to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the list. If you see Debug Settings at the bottom of the list, then the jailbreak was successful. Back at the PS4 web browser, let's fix the problem where it chronically tries to go back to your history and rerun things that have already been run. Use the left analog stick to move the cursor down to History Blocker and select it with the X button to launch the exploit. Just like with the jailbreak exploit, you can expect to see a few of these out-of-memory errors. Just press the X button through each of them. Just like with the jailbreak exploit, it will take care of some key code it needs, and you'll get a pop-up message that you're all set. After a few of these pop-ups, you'll get a notification that the history blocker has been enabled. Back at the PS4 exploit site, let's make sure that your jailbreakable PS4 firmware does not get overwritten by an official Sony firmware. Here's how that's done. Use the left analog stick to move the cursor down to Disable Updates, and then select it with the X button. Let the website do its magic, allow the exploit to load the code that it needs, and you'll be presented once again with the You're All Set pop-up message. This process will stop any unintended updates from being installed to your system, and to reverse it, you can just go back and enable updates and you'll be able to install official firmware updates to your liking. Now that your PlayStation 4 is jailbroken, this is where the fun really begins. You'll need a jailbreakable PlayStation 4 for this process to work, and the first step in the process is to initiate the jailbreak. Go to the internet browser and access the jailbreak of your choice. In this case, I'm using the 𝐘𝐈𝐍𝐊𝐒, I think I pronounced that right, 𝐘𝐈𝐍𝐿𝐒 website. Once your exploit site has come up, access either Mira or Goldhen. In this case, I'm going to use Goldhen. I found that it works pretty reliably with my PlayStation 4 Pro, which I'm using in this video. By the way, if you need to learn how to jailbreak your PlayStation 4, I have a link for that in the description below. Once you have the jailbreak exploit up and running on your PlayStation 4, press the PlayStation button to go back to the main menu. Insert the game disc you want to dump over to your PlayStation 4's internal storage. For this demonstration, I'm using Tempest 4000. It's a great game and it's easy to work with. Your console will install the game to your internal storage for play with the disc and the drive. Once the game's installation process is complete, press the X button to launch it. Allow the game to boot all the way up to its main menu, usually a press start screen. With the disc still spinning in the drive, press the PlayStation button to go back to the main menu. Then navigate back to Internet Browser and select it with X to launch it. Go back to the exploit page, and once it's loaded, you'll need to insert an exFAT formatted USB drive into the rightmost port on your PlayStation 4. The game's contents on the hard drive will be dumped to your USB media. Navigate to the listing for App Dumper and select it with the X button to launch it. Once the App Dumper exploit has completed loading, what happens is it actually takes all of that installed content from your disk that was installed to your internal storage, and it converts it over into several files and folders, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. Depending on the size of your game, this can take from several minutes to an hour or longer. Just be patient. And depending upon your PlayStation 4, it will either notify you that the extraction process is complete and it's quitting the program, or it may turn off your PS4. Either way is fine. Once the process is complete, remove the USB storage from the right side of your PlayStation 4's USB ports and insert it into your PC. Hey, if you're seeing value in this video, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out when new content is posted to the channel. You'll also join our incredible community of gamers, and you belong here with us. I've got a file hosted on Google Drive that has all of the files that you need for this process to work on your PC. It's linked for you in the description below. Navigate to the download link and click on it. And then on the subsequent page, again, navigate to download and click on it. In your downloads folder, uncompress the file that you just downloaded. You can uncompress it directly into the downloads folder, as it will uncompress one folder and 2 files that you need, and that's it. If you want to move these later, that's no problem. You can always drag and drop them anywhere on your PC that you need to store them. Once you've got this uncompressed, delete the compressed file in order to eliminate clutter out of the downloads folder. If you haven't already, go ahead and insert your USB drive from your PlayStation 4 into your PC. On the right hand side of the screen, these are the contents of the USB drive that were dumped from the PlayStation 4. There's a folder with the name app at the end of it. Those are the game files. There's a listing for patch. That's any patches you installed to games on your PlayStation 4 console. And you'll see one that says complete. If you see that file, it means everything was pulled from your PS4 and installed on your USB. If you don't see complete, go back and run the dump process again. Run the gen.gp4.exe file you previously downloaded. You'll need to give this file administrative privileges for it to do its job. And at the UAC prompt, click on Yes. Once the program is launched, you'll need to tell it where the path to your game folder is located. That's the one with the -app at the end of the name. Click on this button to browse for the folder. Scroll down through the list until you see your USB drive represented. Then double-click on the USB drive name. You'll see the folder name there with the -app at the end of it. Single-click on that and then click on OK. Near the top right corner, click on Generate GP4. Once the file's been generated, don't overlook this very important step. It does not automatically save for you. Click on Save GP4 in the top right corner. As long as you have the space for it, it's just as easy to save the GP4 file right back onto the USB storage device that you used previously with your PS4. Make sure you've selected the USB and click on Save. You're done with Gen GP4 at this point. You can click the red X in the top right corner to close it out and go back to your File Explorer windows. Next step, navigate to your Downloads folder and double-click into the 𝐘𝐕𝐄 Tools folder. Inside this folder, you want to locate a file that's called orbis.pub.gen. Once you've located the file, double-click on it or run it as administrator if you have such privileges on your machine. And at the UAC prompt, click Yes. If you haven't previously done this, you'll be prompted to install the Microsoft .NET framework. This is completely legit, it's real Microsoft software, and completely safe. And you'll have the benefit of having this framework installed on your PC for future projects when you need it. Once the framework installation is complete, navigate down to the bottom right corner and click on Close. Now you'll need to relaunch orbis.pub.gen. Navigate back to that file inside your Downloads folder, inside the 𝐘𝐕𝐄 Tools folder, and run it. And again, at UAC, click Yes. This time, the orbis.pub.gen interface will appear. The program needs to know where your GP4 file is located. Click on File in the top left corner, scroll down to Open, and click on it. In this case, the GP4 file is located on the USB storage device. So I'm going to navigate to the USB storage device, and then scroll down to the GP4 file, and then select it to open it. Click on the file, and then click Open. Near the top right corner of the orbis.pub.gen interface, you'll see the text Build. Click here. This pulls up the Build Options menu. There are only 2 options you need to be concerned with. Let's zoom in and take a look. The first one is to come down and click on the checkbox next to Moddable Package File. We're going to need to run a mod on the package file once it's built. You'll also need to tell the program where to save the file. In the bottom right corner, click Select to choose the path where you want to save the file. In this case, I'm going to put it right back on USB storage because I've got plenty of it. Click Save, and then in the bottom right corner, click Build. This converts the GP4 file into a package file that you can install natively on your PlayStation 4. Once the build is complete, close out the window by clicking the red X. Then you can close out orbis.pub.gen by clicking the red X in the top right corner. Back in the Fake Package Tools folder, locate the patch.bat file and double-click on it to run it. It opens up a text file with 3 questions to answer. Let's go over them one by one. The first one is, what drive is your package file located on? Just type the lowercase letter that designates your drive. In this case, it's drive D. Press enter and you'll be asked for your keystone path. Here's how you find that. On your USB drive, navigate to the folder with app at the end and double-click into it. You'll find a folder in here called SCE_SYS. Double-click into that folder. Scroll through the list of files and folders until you find Keystone. Right-click on the Keystone file, and select Properties. Inside the Properties window, you'll see a listing for location. This is what you'll need to copy over and put into the batch file. Just drag over all of this, but don't use the right-click copy, use Control-C to copy instead. Then back in the batch file, press Control-V on the keyboard to paste in this information. Press Enter on the keyboard and you'll be prompted to enter your package file name. You'll find this right back on your USB drive. You can close out the Properties window and then navigate to your package file in the USB drive. You'll want to copy all of the information that is listed in the name of your package file, including the .pkg extension. When you click on a file name, Windows typically does not include the extension, so you'll need to include everything including the extension, then press Ctrl-C to copy it. Then navigate back to the batch file window and press Ctrl-V to copy this information in. Press the Enter key, the process will run, and your package file will be patched and ready for use. Press any key to continue, then you can close out any open instances of File Explorer, remove the USB drive from your PC, and put it right back into the rightmost port on your PlayStation 4. In this instance, when App Dumper completed, it did not shut down the PlayStation 4, but if yours did, you'll need to reboot it and reinitialize the jailbreak. Go ahead and eject the game disk from your PS4. Before you install the new package file version of your game to your hard drive, delete any existing information from the current game off the hard drive. Press the menu button to pull up the sidecart menu, then scroll down to delete and select it with the X button, and at the confirmation prompt, select OK with X. With the jailbreak running on your PlayStation 4, push the D-pad to go up to the top menu, and then over to the right to Settings and select it with the X button. Once you're inside the Settings menu, use the D-pad to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the list of choices to Debug Settings and select it with the X button. Inside Debug Settings, select Game with the X button. Inside the Game menu, scroll down until you get to Package Installer and select that one with the X button. It will look for your USB storage and you'll see the package file listed here. Select it with the X button to install the package file with your game. This can take from a few seconds up to a few minutes depending upon the size of the game. Once you're done, you'll get a pop-up notification in the top left corner that your package file has been installed successfully. Then you can press the circle button repeatedly to go all the way back to the PlayStation 4 main menu. Scroll down to the game tiles and you'll find your game newly installed just to the left of the web browser. Select it with the X button and it will launch from your hard drive or solid state storage, no disk required. Grab this t-shirt and other new custom design merch at BlaneLocklear.com. How new? That new. And with that, let's take a look at how to play your favorite PlayStation 2 games on your PlayStation 4. I think it's a good idea before you get started in all of this to check the PS2 Classics Emulation Compatibility list to make sure that the game you want to play will work with PS4 emulation. Most games play really well, but there are a few with some challenges. I'm going to use Chrome's search feature to go directly to the game we're using for demonstration purposes in this video, Snoopy vs. the Red Baron. Upon taking a closer look, you'll see that the game is listed as having minor issues. It is playable, but there are some graphical glitches, which is why I picked this game as an illustration. Also check the description for the game because it may have a specific listing for an emulator it requires. In this case, it requires the Rogue emulator. Hosted on the mega.nz website, there's a download available that you need called PS2 FPKG. This is a program that converts your PlayStation 2 ISO images into package files that can be installed and played on your PlayStation 4. Click the download button on the page to grab the file. You'll find the file you downloaded in your downloads folder, but I've also staged up an ISO file for Snoopy vs. the Red Baron. To get started with the process of converting your ISO files over to package files for your PlayStation 4, unzip the downloaded file. And just as a bonus tip here, you can save yourself an extra folder in this structure by just going right here to the directory path and deleting the excess right after the word downloads. Then just run the extraction process as normal. Then once the zip file is extracted, delete the zip file from your downloads folder to eliminate clutter. With that out of the way, double-click into the folder that you just uncompressed. You'll see an exe icon that has the PlayStation logo on it. It's recommended by the program's author to run the program as administrator, so right-click on it and select Run as Administrator. And if you get this message the first time you run it, click More Info, then come down to the bottom right corner and click Run Anyway. It should only ask you that the first time. Then at the UAC prompt, select Yes. You'll need to tell the program where to find your disk images. Follow down the listing to Disk 1 and click Select. This disk is inside the Downloads folder in ISO form. Click on your disk image and then click on Open. You can also repeat this process for any multi-disc games by just loading them into the Disk 2, Disk 3, Disk 4, and so forth. Remember how one of the things we looked at on that PS2 compatibility chart was which emulator to use? This is where you need to pick this. There are two choices, Jak 2 and Rogue One. In this case, it's Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Choose the matching emulator from the drop-down list here. I need to pause for just a moment here to explain something important. In all of the previous versions of Windows that I used this software, it had no problem loading up the box art and the wallpaper or splash screen startup screen for the games by loading the artwork files here. But I've tried this with multiple files with multiple games in Windows 11 and it simply does not work. But you'll be pleased to know the only thing you're missing out on is a custom icon and the custom splash background screen on your PlayStation 4 main menu when you launch the game. Everything else works 100%. Move the pointer down to Create FPKG and click on it to start the process. You'll be prompted for a location to post your FPKG file. This is important to note. You can't put it in the root of any storage. You have to put it within a subfolder somewhere on storage. In this case, I'm just using the Windows desktop. Click OK. And at the next window, click OK to create the PKG file. The only visual indicator you'll get that it's doing its job is the set of animated ellipses you see in the bottom left corner, shown here. Once the process is finished, you'll see a pop-up message that says, Process Finished. Intuitive. Click OK to continue. You're done with this software at this point. You can just click the red X in the right corner to close it out. Now that that package file's been created, you'll need to copy it over to USB storage formatted in exFAT format. I'm just going to right-click and select Copy here, and then insert a USB drive formatted in exFAT format into the PC. Once you have the drive in place, you can just right-click right on the root of the drive and paste your package file here. Once you have the package file in place on your USB storage, you can close out any instances of File Explorer, eject the USB storage from your computer, and put it into the rightmost port on your PlayStation 4, then power on your system. From your PlayStation 4's main menu, you'll need to access and activate the jailbreak. Use the web browser to navigate to the jailbreak website of your choice. In this case, I'm using the one from 𝐘𝐈𝐍𝐊𝐒, you know, that one. I found that GoldHen works really well, so I'm going to launch GoldHen from the website. If you need to learn how to jailbreak your own PlayStation 4, I have it linked for you in the description below and in the pinned comment. Once you have the jailbreak active on your system, you can press the PlayStation button on your controller to go back to your PlayStation 4's main menu. Now that you've got the jailbreak up and running on your PlayStation 4, use the D-pad to scroll up to the top menu. Then use the D-pad to scroll over to Settings and select Settings with the X button to continue. From the Settings main menu, use the D-pad to scroll down all the way to the bottom of the listings until you see Debug Settings and select it with the X button. Inside Debug Settings, you'll see a listing for Game. It's the first listing. Select it with X. Scroll down one listing to get to Package Installer and select that with the X button. You'll see your package file that's on your USB storage here. Select it with X to install the game to your device. Once you've finished installing the game, you'll get a confirmation pop-up in the top left corner notifying you that everything's all set. From here, you can press the PlayStation button on your controller to go back to the main menu. To launch your game for the first time, select it with the X button. You'll see the generic icon and the generic background, but the game's there. Remember I mentioned early on that I selected this game specifically because it does have some minor graphical issues but plays 100%? You can see a few bars from the prior screen listed behind this cutscene animation. But when it comes to the actual dogfighting battles, everything's all set. The ultimate PS4 needs the ultimate homebrew store. Let's get it installed and up and running. While I normally show a website where files are downloaded from, in this case, the Package Zone website doesn't yet have a searchable access to this file, so I've just direct linked it for you in the description below. All you have to do with this package file is just insert your USB media formatted in exFAT format into your PC. Then just drag and drop that package file right onto the root of your X format formatted USB storage. Then you can just close out any instances of File Explorer, remove the USB storage from your computer, and insert it into the rightmost USB port on your PlayStation 4. From your PlayStation 4's internet browser, open it up and then navigate to the jailbreak site of your choice and initiate your jailbreak. I recommend using Goldhint. It's very stable and works very well with this process. Once you have the jailbreak of your choice running on your PlayStation 4, press the PlayStation button to go back to the main menu. To install the Homebrew Store package file, press up on the D-pad and then scroll over to the right until you get to Settings and select it with the X button. From the Settings main menu, use the D-pad to scroll all the way down to the bottom to Debug Settings. Select it with the X button. Inside Debug Settings, select Game with the X button. Then use the D-pad to scroll down until you get to Package Installer and select it with X. You'll see your USB storage represented here and the package file listed. Select it with X to install it. You should get notification pop-ups in the top left corner that it's been added to downloads and that it's also ready to use once successfully installed. Once this process is complete, just press the PlayStation button on your controller to go back to the PS4 main menu. To launch the Homebrew Store for the first time and start the setup process, select it from the main menu with the X button. The first time you run the program, it will install any updates, bringing you up to speed with the most recent version. You'll get prompted about this several times. Just select OK with the X button to proceed forward through each of the next processes. You'll be notified once everything is complete, and if you continue to just select OK with the X button, you'll get a success message. Select OK with X to go to the main menu. As of this video, there are 117 games and applications you can download, and the library is growing on a regular basis. As we get a brief overview of what's actually here for you to download immediately, I just want to point out something important. I've already preloaded the assets for this by just scrolling through them from top to bottom and refreshing each page. You just do this by scrolling with the D-pad. But if you do this, you have to understand it's actually going to load these things kind of like in real time. So if you scroll from the top of a page to the bottom to load the next page, there's going to be a few seconds worth of delay. It's not locked up and there's no reason to exit the program and go back in. Just wait for a few moments and the next page will refresh automatically for you. Another important note is there's a rhythm to how things get installed from this application. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Find the application that you want to install. In this case, I'm just going to install Space Invaders. It's nice, small, easy, and it works really well. To install an application, first move the highlighter over to Download using the D-pad and then select it with the X button. This downloads the package file from the server to your local PlayStation 4. Once the package file of your choice has been downloaded, use the D-pad to move the highlight over to Install and select Install with the X button. Just like with any package file installed over USB, it gets added to downloads and you'll get a confirmation message once it's ready to use. Once everything that you want from the Homebrew Store is installed, press the PlayStation button and you'll be taken back to the main menu. You'll find your newly downloaded and installed package file content here. Just scroll to it and select it with X to launch it. And in no time at all, you'll be playing your favorite games and using your favorite applications on your PlayStation 4 through the Homebrew Store. Sorry fellas, better find someone else's planet to take over. But Space Invaders isn't the only retro gaming trick up this PlayStation 4 sleeve. It can also play tens of thousands of retro games using RetroArch. The first step in the process is to visit the GBATemp website to get the latest version of RetroArch and the RetroArch cores installer for the PlayStation 4. It's linked for you in the description. Scroll down on the page until you see the Downloads section. Right-click on each of these links so that you can open them up in separate tabs. They're going to link to mega.nz for two separate downloads. Once you have both of these download links open in your browser, you can visit them separately to get each separate download. The first of which is the RetroArch package file itself. Come down to the download link in the bottom right corner and click the button to download the package file directly to your downloads folder. And the second one is the cores installer for RetroArch on PlayStation 4. Again, just click the download button in the bottom right corner to grab this file. But do make note it's very large, well over 1 GB, so it might take you a few minutes to get it downloaded to your system. And to transfer game, system, and other files over to your PlayStation 4 over USB storage, you'll also need PS4 Explorer. It's hosted on the GitHub and linked for you in the description. Scroll down on the GitHub page to the Assets section and click the download file shown here. Okay, I'm going to slow the roll here for just a minute so we can take a look in the Downloads folder and see what you're going to have in there and what you'll need. You've downloaded 3 different package files to your Downloads folder, and here's what they are and what they do. There's RetroArch, which is the actual software itself. You'll also have the RetroArch Core Installer, which is a package file. And you'll have a package file for PS4 Explorer. In addition to all of this, you're going to need game content and also system BIOS files for key game systems. In this case, I've just got one folder that has the system BIOS files. along with a couple of ROMs each in an SNES, NES, and Sega Genesis folder. Insert a USB drive formatted in exFAT format into your computer. I named this USB drive Subscribe so you won't forget to subscribe while you're here. Hey, we've got a great community here and you belong here with us. In the Downloads folder, you can grab everything, every file, every folder, everything, and copy it, and then just drag and drop it directly onto the root of your USB storage. Once you've got all of the files and folders copied over to your USB storage, you're done with it. You can close out any instances of File Explorer, eject your USB storage from your computer, and put it into the rightmost USB port on your PlayStation 4. You'll need to activate the jailbreak on your PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 4 Pro. Go to your web browser and then navigate to your favorite location for running the jailbreak process. In this case, I'm using the 𝐘𝐈𝐍𝐊𝐒, that website. Whichever exploit site you use, I'd recommend if they have GoldHen listed that you run GoldHen. It's my understanding, at least at this point, that GoldHen is more up to date than Mira, and it performed really well with RetroArch. In any case, whichever homebrew enabler exploit you use, let it load up, and once it's complete, you can press the PlayStation button to go back to the main menu of your PlayStation 4. With the jailbreak enabled, now you can install the 3 package files you put on the USB storage. Go up to the top navigation and scroll to the right to Settings and select it with the X button. Inside Settings, use the D-pad to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the list to Debug Settings and select it with the X button. The first listing you'll see here is Game, select that with the X button. Inside the Game menu is where you'll find a package installer. Use the D-pad to scroll down one listing to Package Installer and select it with X. Inside Package Installer, you'll see a listing for Install All. Select it with the X button. This will install all 3 package files one at a time onto your PlayStation 4. Once all 3 of the package files are installed, leave the USB storage device in the rightmost port on your PlayStation 4. Just press the PlayStation button on your controller to go back to the main menu. There's a rhythm to loading RetroArch in its cores. First, just load RetroArch by selecting it with the X button. It's going to set up some key files and folders that you will need in order to proceed forward. The only thing you need to do with RetroArch at this point is close it. From the main menu, just scroll down to Quit RetroArch and select it with the circle button. Inside RetroArch, X and circle are swapped. Now that RetroArch has set up its file and folder structure, you can run the RetroArch Core Installer. Navigate to it with the D-pad and select RetroArch Core Installer with the X button. And at the confirmation pop-up, select OK with the X button. Once all of the cores have finished installing, select OK with the X button to go back to the PS4 main menu. You can launch RetroArch content directly off of USB storage, but we go big or go home here. Launch PS4Xplorer to access the content from your USB drive. The first time you launch PS4Xplorer, you'll need to select your language, in this case English. Pick your language with the X button. Then you'll be taken to the main menu. What you see here is the root of your internal storage, whether it be hard drive or a solid state drive. To access the USB drive, press left on the D-pad. Let's start by copying the ROM folders over from USB to internal storage. To select each one of these, highlight it using the D-pad and press the right one button. That's going to leave a highlight mark on each of the files and folders you want to copy over. Once you have them highlighted, press triangle to pull up the pop-up menu, scroll down to copy, and select it with the X button. To switch back over to your internal storage, press the right 3 stick or the right analog stick straight down. From the root of your internal storage, use the D-pad to move the highlight down to Data and select Data with the X button. This is where the RetroArch folder lives. Use the D-pad to move the highlight down to RetroArch and select it with the X button. There's no ROMs folder inside RetroArch. You'll actually need to copy those folders with your ROMs to the Downloads folder. Navigate to it with the D-pad and select it with X. From inside the Downloads folder, press the triangle button to pull up the pop-up menu. Use the D-pad to scroll down to Paste and select Paste with the X button. Now that you have your ROM files copied over to your internal storage, you'll need to copy over your system BIOS files. To access USB storage again, press left on the D-pad. From the root of your USB storage, navigate down to the System folder that you copied over previously that has your BIOS files. Select it with the X button. Once you're inside the System folder, you can actually mark all of your System BIOS files at one time by pressing the right 1 and the right 2 buttons on your PlayStation 4 controller at the same time. That's the right shoulder and the right trigger button simultaneously. Just like before, pull up the pop-up menu by pressing the triangle button, Then use the D-pad to navigate down through the list of choices to copy and select Copy with the X button. With all of the BIOS files copied, again press the right 3 button or the right analog stick straight down to access the root of the internal storage. Again, use the D-pad to navigate down to the Data folder and select it with the X button. Use the D-pad to move the highlight down to RetroArch and select it with X. This time, use the D-pad to scroll down through the list of folders to System and select System with the X button. And finally, inside the System folder, press the triangle button to pull up the pop-up menu, use the D-pad to scroll down to Paste, and select it with the X button to paste the BIOS files here. You can go back to this process of copying over new BIOS or new ROM files anytime you need to. Press the PlayStation button on your controller to go back to the PlayStation 4 main menu. Before you launch RetroArch, there are 2 things you can do to free up both memory and space on your PlayStation 4. Press the Options button on PS4 Explorer and select Close Application with the X button. At the confirmation prompt, select OK with the X button. And you don't need the Cores installer application any longer, as you'll be doing those from now on using the Online Updater. Navigate to the RetroArch Cores installer, press the Options button, use the D-pad to scroll down to Delete, and select it with the X button. At the confirmation prompt, select OK with X. Select RetroArch from the main menu so that we can configure the settings. With your PlayStation 4 connected to the internet, from the main menu of RetroArch, scroll down to Online Updater and select it with the circle button. Some of these are mandatory and some optional, but I recommend that you run all of these updates. Update installed cores, update core info files, update assets, update joypad profiles, update cheats, hey, no judgments here, update databases, update overlays, update GLSL shaders, and turn on the on-demand thumbnail updater. This will give you box art for titles that you install into RetroArch. Once you have all of these taken care of, press the X button several times to go back to the RetroArch main menu. You'll want to import your games into the RetroArch interface so that you can play them from playlists in the left navigation. To do this, from the left navigation, scroll down to Import Content and select it with the circle button. The first listing is Scan Directory, select that with the circle button. You'll be prompted to either select your internal storage, which is data, or USB 0, which is your USB external storage. In this case, we've got the games copied over to internal storage, select data with circle. You'll see the RetroArch folder here, use the D-pad to navigate down to RetroArch and select it with circle. Use the D-pad to move the highlight down to the Downloads folder and select Downloads with the circle button. This is where you want to conduct the scan. From the list of choices, select Scan this directory by moving the D-pad highlighter there and select it with circle. Be aware, if you have a lot of ROMs to scan, this can take from several minutes to several hours. Once all of your content has been scanned, press the circle button several times until you get back to the RetroArch main menu. If you look in the left navigation, now you'll find that there are folders representing the various consoles that I've scanned and imported content into RetroArch with. If you scroll down to these folders and drill into their content, you'll see that the Online Thumbnail Updater is going to add the box art for each of the games that are listed for each of these systems. Pretty cool, huh? To launch the game of your choice, use the highlighter to scroll to the console that you want and select the game you want. In this case, let's try Super Mario World. Select it with circle, select Run with the circle button, and you'll be presented with several core possibilities. I'm just going to pick the first one on the list here by selecting it with the circle button. Once you have your core chosen, select Run with the circle button. And in no time at all, you'll be playing your retro game favorites on your PlayStation 4. And for even more great PlayStation 4 videos, check out this video shown on screen and linked in the pinned comment and description below. See you over there!